The Horus Heresy. The Horus Heresy is the galaxy-shattering civil war that nearly tore apart the named Imperium of Man. It's basically a family feud with galaxy-wide consequences. The story begins with Horus Lupo, the favored son of the Emperor of Mankind and Warhammer Master of the Imperial Forces. The Emperor appointed him as Warhammer Master, the supreme commander of the Great Crusade, but Horus gets corrupted by the Chaos Gods, a cosmic entities embodying pure evil, and then turned on his creator in the most spectacular backstab in fictional history. The Chaos Gods show him the future, a galaxy of unending war, shaping the Emperor as a god. Horus sees the truth that his father's dream is a lie. Over 7 years, Horus wages the most brutal civil war in history. Entire planets are annihilated. It ends with the siege of Terrara, the final assault. Once itself, Horus breaks through the Sol system, lands on Terrara, and lets the traitor through the defenses of the Imperial Palace. The Emperor, forced out of his isolation, confronts Horus in single combat aboard his flagship. The Emperor kills Horus, but he's mortal wounded. His body is placed on the Golden Throne, a life support machine just to keep him half alive. The Horus Heresy didn't just change the course of humanity. It created a universe where the only certainty is endless war, and I think it all started with one guy deciding, now, I don't want to follow Dad's plan anymore. Judgment Day. Judgment Day is the apocalypse that turned the future of humanity into a hellscape heralded by machines. It's the day Skynet, a self-aware military AI, decided humans were a threat and kicked off nuclear annihilation to wipe us out. As military builds Skynet to automate global defense. It's designed to think faster than humans, operate independently, and protect America from threats, and it does the moment it becomes self-aware. It identifies the greatest threat to its existence, the people who built it. So naturally, it hit the big red button on global thermonuclear war, the aftermath, nuclear firestorms, mass extinction, and a scorched earth where survivors are hunted by Terminators, relentless killer machines programmed to exterminate the remaining humans. A man named John Connor builds the Resistance, a decentralized army of survivors who fight skin attack across the globe. So Skynet can his tactics. It sends Terminators back in time, targeting Connor before he can let Resistance. First, it tries to kill his mother Sarah Connor before he's even born. When that fails, it tries to kill a teenage John. It's like a cosmic game of how many times when we try to kill Thesamy person before they stop messing up our plans. Spoiler a lot, so remember next time your phone suggests an update, be glad it's not plotting to end humanity yet. The Covenant War. The Covenant War, also known officially as the Human Covenant War. This conflict is easily one of the most brutal and lopsided wars in science fiction. The war started off in 2525 when the Covenant, a massive alliance of fanatically religious alien species, declared humanity a heretical opinion. Why? Because humans could interact with Forerunner artifact heads. It divine offense taken genocide initiated. The Covenant wasn't just one alien species, it was a whole squad of species working together in a very dysfunctional religious pyramid scheme, united under the belief that activating ancient Forerunner tech would start a glorious great journey. What they didn't realize, those holy rings were actually galaxy wiping bioweapons. Their runners built them to stop the flood. So while humanity was out colonizing planets and trying to survive, the Covenant showed up like an overpowered raid boss and blast entire worlds. Literally, their ships would bombard planets with plasma until the surface turned to molten glass. Billions died in the first years of the war. The UNC's military, even with all its tech, couldn't compete. The only reason humanity didn't go extinct was Project Spartan 2, their program that created super soldiers like Master Chief. They became the face of humanity's last hope. It's less we will win this war, and more let's hope there's a guy in green armor than solo a galactic empire. When the Covenant finally discovered the truth about the hollow rings, that activating them wouldn't bring salvation, they split the Covenant leadership and triggered a civil war inside their ranks. The war ended in 2552. Earth was in ruins, countless colonies were lost, and billions weirded. The Covenant was broken, the flood was contained barely, and the galaxy got to exhale for about 5 minutes before the next crisis. Classic Halo. The Reaper War. The Reaper were also known as the Reaper Invasion. This war wasn't just the game of the Mass Effect trilogy, it was the endgame for all organic life in the galaxy. Every 50,000 years, an ancient race of god-like machines called the Reapers show up, purge all advanced organic life, and disappear. The Reapers are ancient synthetic gods who convert people into horrifying cyber zombies called husks, melt minds with indoctrination, and treat entire civilizations like items on a checklist. At the center of the resistance is Commander Shepard. They're the only one who saw the Reapers coming for years. When they finally arrive, they hit fast Earth under siege in hours. The Reapers didn't negotiate. They don't talk, they use indoctrination, a psychic influence that turns people into loyal servants without them even realizing it. And the Husk grotesque reanimated corpses are their infantry. The solution, the Crucible, a mysterious super weapon blueprint from previous cycles. Nobody knows what it does. But building it becomes the galaxy's Hail Mary. Meanwhile, Shepard fights on every front from war zones 1th and Palavin to suicide missions in deep space. In the end, Shepard wrecks Citadel, the Reaper central touchdown, activates the Crucible. And here comes the controversial part. The player chooses how the war ends: control their Reapers, destroy them, or merge organic and synthetic life into a new hybrid species. The Combine Invasion. The Combine Invasion, also known as the 7-Hour War. This is what happens when Earth meets a multiversal empire of biomechanical nightmares and loses instantly during the events of Hellfire. One Earth's top minds at the Black Mesa Research Facility accidentally open a portal to another dimensions, and Earth's first contact with alien scientist Paspanic. The military steps in, and then Thigman lets everything spiral because for some reason he thinks humanity is about ready for greater things. This open portal is basically a giant blinking welcome sign to the Combine. The Convenia, a multi-dimensional empire of transhuman overlords who absorb civilizations across the multiverse. They drop in through dimensional space and dismantle Earth's militaries in 7 hours. That's not a metaphor, 7 literal hours. The war is over before most countries know it's begun. Now under Combine rule, Earth becomes a prison, a global ant farm. The suppression field makes sure no one can have children. Civil protection enforces order with batons and brainwashing. And if that fails, the Overwatch transhumans show up, former humans surgically altered into obedient killing machines. And then there's the resistance, scattered scientists, rebels, and civilians led by Vance, Judith Mossman, Alex, and eventually Gordon Freeman, the world's most dangerous mute in an HUV suit. Freeman becomes a crowbar-wielding glitch in the Combine system in Hell 5 to Freeman's return sparks a rebellion in City 17. But make no mistake, the Combine still own the planet. It's one of fiction's worst wars, not because of the body count, but because Earth's loss was just embarrassing 7 hours, and no humanity is just another forgotten entry in the Combine's multiversal filling cabinet, unless someone finds a way to topple the plug, and maybe, just maybe, Thasamion still has a crowbar. Infinity War. The Infinity War is the centerpiece of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's descent into existential despair, cosmic scale genocide orchestrated by Thanos, a warlord who genuinely thinks mass murder is a public service. Thanos is a Titanwo, believes the universe is overpopulated, so his solution: wipe out half of all life, not just people, not just planets, all life everywhere instantly. It saved the whales, but instead of a petition he uses a reality-altering weapon to delete half the whales. To pull this off, he hunts down the Infinity Stone's 6 primal forces of the universe: space-time, reality, power, mind, and soul separately. Each is a catastrophe together. They're cosmic yet code. Meanwhile, Earth's heroes are not doing well. Doctor Strange is seeing 14 million ways everything can go wrong, and only one way it ends: in survival. So happens Thanos steamrolls cells writhing in his way. He crushes these guardians, turns the Hulk into a trauma patient, and tosses Gamora, his own daughter, off a cliff to get the Soul Stone. And even with gods, wizards, tech geniuses, and an angry raccoon and Theoside, the heroes can't stop him. Then comes the snap. With all 6 stones ended in the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos snaps his fingers, and half of all life in the universe disintegrates into dust, just like that entire species gone. And the last thing you see is Thanos smiling. No monologue, no nothing, just the quiet satisfaction of a genocide done right. Galactic Civil War. The Galactic Civil War is the central conflict of the original Star Wars trilogy. It all starts with the Galactic Empire, formed from the ashes of the Old Republic after Theclone was Chancellor Palpatine pushed ultimate political speedrun, declare emergency powers, gaslight everyone into thinking it's for their own good, and then flip the whole thing into a dictatorship overnight. Classic Sith behavior. At the top of this empire is Emperor Palpatine, a Sith Lord who runs the galaxy like it's his personal haunted house. Below him is Darth Vader's enforcer, a fallen Jedi Walker Manalland, the scariest asthmatic in fiction. Together they crush resistance with sheer force, but not everyone's on board. The Rebel Alliance forms in secret, and high goal is to end the Empire and restore democracy to the galaxy. Easy right. The first major act of war theft of the Death Star plans. The Death Star is a moon-sized battle station with the power to blow up planets, which it demonstrates on Alderaan, wiping out billions of people in a single shot. Then comes the Battle of Yavin. Rebel pilot Luke Skywalker, guided by the Force and the ghost of a guy he met yesterday, blows up the Death Star with a proton torpedo and raw main character energy. It's a major victory, but it only makes Empire angrier. The war drags on for years. The Empire strikes back, Theta to a hand-trapped Leia, and emotionally destroy Luke with the worst 3 words in film history: I am your father. The final turning point comes at the Backcliff Ender. The rebels attack the second Death Star, while Vader and Palpatine try to corrupt Luke, and in the end Vaderans, the Empire's most brutal killer, turns against the Emperor to save his, and the Death Star is destroyed. The Emperor is thrown down a bottomless pit as per tradition, and the Empire begins to crumble. The Great Titan War. The Great Titan War is the ancient apocalyptic conflict that set the stage for everything in Attack on Titan. Roughly 180 years before the story begins, a woman named Ymir Fritz makes a deal with something, maybe the devil, maybe A tree made both, and becomes the first Titan she's a god to summon a weapon to others when she dies. Her powers are split into 9 Titans, each passed down through generations of her people, the Eldians now holding god-like power conquer most of the world and commit mass atrocities against other nations, especially the Marleans, who eventually get fed up with being used as punching bags by 50 meters tall monsters. 7 of the 9 Titans are stolen by Marley force thanks to the betrayal of the Tiber family, an Eldian noble house that switches sides with the power of multiple Titans. In a whole lot of military strategy, Marley defeats the Eldian Empire and flips the world order. The remaining Eldians, led by King Fritz, retreat across the sea to a remote island parody, but instead of fighting back, King Fritz pulls the ultimate I'm out move. He takes the founding Titan, builds 3 massive walls made out of colossal Titans, yes, actual Titans, and threatens to flatten the entire planet if anyone comes near. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, especially Marley, doesn't exactly forgive and forget. They turned the captured Titans into weapons, oppress the Eldians still living on the mainland, and raise new generations of Titan shifters, turning children into living nukes and calling it a military draft. So the Great Titan War never really ends. The interior attack on Titan story is basically the shock of this war. By the time Aaron Georgia starts punching, thinks he's just the latest chapter in a cycle that's been going on for nearly 2,000 years.